Hi, I am Sam, your teacher, Sam, my teacher, Sammy teacher. I have a dozen of dice here, which means I have 12 of them. If I roll all of them and multiply the 12 numbers, what is the probability of getting a prime number as the product? Now, a product simply means the result of multiplication. But what is a prime number? Let me briefly explain what prime numbers are, just in case. A prime number can be defined as a whole number greater than 1 that cannot be made by multiplying other whole numbers. So, as an example, 2 is a whole number greater than 1. And of course, you can't make 2 by multiplying other whole numbers. So 2 is the smallest prime number, and it is the only even number that can be a prime number. Because other even numbers like 4, 6, 8, and so on can be made by multiplying 2 and something. 2 times 3, 2 times 4. However, not all of the odd numbers are prime numbers, because odd numbers like 9 or 15 can be made by multiplying other whole numbers. For example, 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 5 is 15. So all the even numbers except 2 cannot be prime numbers, and some of the odd numbers cannot be prime numbers. So if I list some of the prime numbers, the list will start from 2, and then 3, and 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, and so on. Now, let's talk about probability. Probability is a number between 0 and 1, inclusive, and it can be defined as number of desired outcomes out of number of all possible outcomes. 0 means it's impossible to get the desired outcome, and 1 means it's 100% that we will get the desired outcomes. So, when somebody asks, what is the probability of getting an odd number by rolling one of the dice? We know we have 3 odd numbers, 1, 3, and 5. So the number of our desired outcomes is 3. And there are 6 possible outcomes altogether. So it'll be 3 over 6, which of course can be reduced to 1/2. So we can say the probability of getting an odd number by rolling one of the dice is 1/2. Or if someone asks us to find the probability of getting 2 as the product of rolling 2 pieces of dice, we know each of the 6 possible outcomes of the first dice can match each of the 6 different outcomes from the second dice. So we can have 1 and 1 from each dice, and 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 4, 5, 6, and this can match in the same way. So basically we multiply 6 by 6 to get the total number of possible outcomes, which is 36. And out of the 36 possible outcomes, only 1 times 2 and 2 times 1 will give us the product of 2. So there are 2 desired outcomes. So if I reduce this fraction, it will be 1 out of 18. And that's the probability of getting 2 as the product of rolling 2 dice. Now, let's try to answer the original question. The question was, what is the probability of getting a prime number when you have 12 dice and roll them and multiply the numbers together? And knowing what prime numbers are, numbers like 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, so on. Do you think it is possible to get one of those numbers by multiplying all these numbers? It is possible, but only when all of the numbers are 1, except just one of them. Now, this is what I mean. Let's say we get 2 in the first dice. And for all the other pieces of dice, we get ones. And when we multiply all these numbers, 2 times 1 times 1 times 1 times all the way, the product will become 2. And 2 is prime number. Now, if we get 2 in the second dice, and all the other pieces of dice are 1, that also gives us the product of 2. And the same thing will happen when the third dice is 2 and all the others are 1. Same thing in the fourth one and fifth one. So altogether, since there are 12 pieces of dice, there are 12 different ways to get product of 2. And similar thing happens when one of the 12 dice is 3 and all the others are 1s. And same thing, there will be 12 different ways to make the product of 3. Or the product can be 5, which is also a prime number. And that also gives you 12 more outcomes. And it turns out 2, 3, 5 are the only prime numbers we can get as the product. And there are altogether 36 possible outcomes that can give prime number product. And we're almost ready to answer the original question. What is the probability of getting a prime number when we multiply all the 12 numbers of 12 rolled dice? And there were 12 different ways to get 2 as the product, and another 12 ways to get 3 as the product, and still 12 more ways to get the product of 5. And for the denominator, we can get the number of all possible outcomes when we roll 12 dice by multiplying 6 by 6 by 6 by 6 all the way, like this. Now that's a big number. If I ever write it, the number will be this big. So I'd rather write that as 6 to the power of 12, because that means I multiply 6 12 times. And if I add all these numbers, it will be 36. And just to make this number look similar to this, I'm going to write this number as 6 squared, since that's the same thing as 36. And finally, these two 6's will cancel out 2 of the 12 6's in the bottom. So the final answer will be 1 out of 6 to the power of 10. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.